For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, we are live and amplified. So let's get ready to podcast.
Fire it up.
Welcome, everybody, to another live and amplified livecast. I'm your host, Tom Quiet, and we are back at it again with another amazing podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. We have Nicole McKinney. How's it going today, Nicole?
Good, thanks.
Glad to have you on. Sorry to everybody that's been kind of wondering where I've been. We had some family medical stuff come up, and I had to take a three-week break, and so finally we're able to get things back into the swing today. And I'm excited to have Nicole on to talk about your new music, all that fun stuff. So first off, welcome to the show. I'm glad to have you.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
But before we kind of jump into the new single and everything you got going on, what's kind of your background? What got you into music? What's kind of your comic book origin story, if you will?
Well, I've always sort of had like a musical background, like my family were all musicians, and yes, I grew up with that, but I got into sort of like the indie rock folk music in high school, and yeah, was writing since then, really. I did a lot of like folky stuff, like just fell in love with it, but yeah, it sort of progressed more to like the heavier indie rock stuff, and yeah, Phoebe Bridgers is probably like someone who really got me into like the branch between the two. Bridge, yeah.
Yeah, I got you. And so you're originally from the UAE, correct? You were born in the United Arab Emirates?
Yeah.
And then you moved to Australia. Did you move directly to Brisbane or?
Sunshine Coast.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm still not 100% sure the layout of Australia. It's like everything's either Sydney or Brisbane or Melbourne, and it's just kind of like, sorry.
No, it's cool. Yeah, it's a big place.
So you from there you moved to Australia. What was kind of how long or how old were you when you moved to Australia?
8.
8? Okay, so you were still pretty young. You don't remember much.
I actually remember a fair bit. Yeah. I just remember thinking that I thought people were going to speak another language here. Like I thought Australia was like still traditional, like custodian land. So I was like, oh my God, freaking out that I had to learn like another language.
Yeah. And then of course you get there and it's like, oh no, you didn't.
Yep. This is the same.
Nice. So who introduced you to music early on?
Probably my parents. Like my dad was in an Irish band, so we always had music around the house all the time. Like he played guitar and sang, and my mum played piano. So me and my sister sort of got playing with my dad at like open mics and things and harmonizing together, and we loved that. And then kind of just branched off once I got my own guitar, just did my own thing. And yeah, just I kind of my dad sort of inspired me to actually write songs. He'd work overseas and like he'd tell me, oh, when I get back you got to have 3 songs that you've written. And then I kind of started that way, and the first few songs were, oh my God, so bad, but you sort of just keep writing. And it's been since I was 16, so it's been like several years now that I've been writing. So
and what was it about the guitar that was that the first instrument you picked up, or did you learn how to play on piano first? What was the first instrument you picked up?
Piano, yeah, because there was one around the house all the time, and it's such a beautiful instrument. Like it's so easy to pick up piano. Like I don't know how to read music, but like it's easy to get the feel for it if you're sort of musical. And I learned piano first, and then guitar was a bit later. Adults play guitar, like I couldn't imagine playing guitar. Like it just seemed too hard to learn it, and then I just did. Sort of self-taught, like YouTube and stuff, and here we are.
What So you started off on piano and then you transitioned over to guitar. Do you remember the first song you ever wrote?
On guitar.
Just in general, I guess. Is
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, I do. It was so lame. It was like the lyric. Okay, so when I first started writing songs, I think my brain was trying to just like come up with melodies first. So like focus on melodies because that's the only thing I found important was melody,
Mhm.
and then you can sort of adjust the lyrics later. And when I wrote this first song, it was like the lyrics were like I'm pretty sure I mentioned like a monkey and a llama or something ridiculous just to get like the rhythm of like the melody to
Yeah.
know how I wanted. And then my sister found the lyrics and started like embarrassing me about it. I was so embarrassed. But I kept writing after that. But oh my God, yeah, that first song, I don't know what my brain was doing, but the lyrics were just so profound and didn't make sense. But it was all about the melody. And the melody
Yeah.
was actually okay, but it got my brain into the pattern of like not caring about the lyrics first because
Mhm.
like that's how I write all my music even to this day is like the melody first. And
That
yeah.
was that was the one I was watching a interview you had on your YouTube channel that you were talking about how the melody is usually what comes first for you when you're sitting down to
Yeah.
write, which kind of segues into my next question about your creative process. When you sit down to write, what's that kind of like? Obviously, you work on your melody first, but what's kind of the process when you sit down to write?
To write the lyrics, or you mean in general
Just
from
write a
scratch?
song in general.
Yeah, well, I usually have to be sort of like in the right headspace. I don't really know what that headspace is, but you know when you're in it, and like I guess you're just like putting no pressure on it. I usually like go to a park or something. Parks always like get me in the zone, and I'll just play some chords I like really connect with, and like a melody will sort of just come up into my head, and
Mhm.
then I I sort of think verse, chorus, like get a
Yeah.
little bit of a structure going and like pick what melody that's playing in my head would suit which part of the song. And then I'll get a book. Like I have to write the lyrics. I can't write them in my phone. Like it has to be like handwritten. And then um yeah, I'll just sort of sometimes I'll just write what's coming out, like and it doesn't really take much thought. And other times I'll like write verse, chorus, and then fill them in with like
Yeah.
the melody and lyrics and like kind of just the lyrics. I just let them come out how they do. And sometimes when I just like sing the melodies that have popped into my head, the lyrics will just come out. Like I don't even have to think about them. It's really weird, and I love it. Yeah, that's pretty much my process. So if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But like,
Yeah.
yeah, I just keep
So
going.
I have to follow up because I was reading on your Spotify link that you write quote unquote sad girl music.
Yeah.
So does this mean you find Parks sad, or how does that? How do the two kind of equate? Because for me, it's like Parks are cool and fun and like uplifting, but how,
Yeah.
how do those two kind of equate?
Probably like I don't know. I think it's more of like a sense of calm. Like
Okay.
when I'm at a park, like in nature, because like in Brisbane, it's like there's not that many naturey spots. Like I'm from the sunny coast, so I think I really like being in nature.
Mhm.
So when I go to a park, it's kind of like nostalgia, like brings me back, like kind of grounds me, and I guess it's like I can sort of reflect on like memories, whether they're painful or happy or like just whatever. And it's like I guess a really sort of deep way to connect with it. Like I seem to like can think about them clearly, and I think that's why I can write in that setting. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's just more about being able to write, not necessarily the mood that it puts you in, right? Just putting you in the right headspace to write, just not necessarily the mood that you want to set. Is that fair?
Yeah, maybe like calm. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like I've written happy and sad songs in parks. Like it's I think it's just more about like being alone and like being calm and like neutral feeling, like sort of being able to just like think about things and not get emotional, but like not consciously think about them, but like feel them.
Mhm.
And then when I'm playing guitar, I express them, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Gotcha.
makes
But back in February, you released a new single. Another Day, right? Was that February or was it March? I'm trying to
February.
February. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, you released that as a single along with a music video. What's kind of the story behind that song?
So basically it started like, it's been a couple of years now, but I lost like a friendship group and like my partner at the same time. Like well, I chose to leave, but it was for reasons that I eventually realized like I deserved better. Like, you know,
Mm,
they weren't actually treating me well, and like things happened that I was trying to justify and like find answers for, and like, you know, repaint their colors sort of thing. And it was basically about realizing that you can't change, like when people show you their true colors, you can't just paint over them. And yeah, you need to like put yourself first, and even if it's really hard, you need to leave and find something better for yourself, because you're just going to be miserable. So yeah, it was like a huge turning point for me when I wrote that song, because it was like I didn't even know what I was feeling at the time, and it basically was saying like these people did mess you over, you don't have to make excuses for them, like, and you don't need them to validate. It actually helped me so much, like writing that. I think it was like a huge turning point for me, so it meant so much. Yeah.
and how long's that song kind of been in the works for you?
um well, I wrote it like over a year before it came out,
Okay.
and then recorded it a year before it came out. So
So,
yeah, it's sort of a year to, yeah.
so you wrote it like just before the pandemic hit, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sitting here, I'm like, has it really been over a year since the pandemic? And then of
Uh,
course it's like,
yep.
wow, okay. So you wrote it just before the pandemic hit, and then were you originally planning on releasing it sooner, or was it because like the whole pandemic thing, you decided to hold off on releasing it?
Not really. Like I kind of am a perfectionist, so I take a while and things, and I had some other projects like on the way. So yeah, just took time. But I mean, the pandemic did slow things down. I think it would have been out a bit earlier if it wasn't for it. But we're pretty lucky. Like it was, you know, we did have to cancel a few like attempts to record it and stuff because of the pandemic, but we were pretty lucky here compared to other places. So
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. You know, especially if you work closely with studios and it's like, okay, you know, they'll get you in any way they can. Whereas if you don't and they don't know who you are, it's just kind of like, yeah, there's a global pandemic. It's not happening. So
Not happening.
not happening. So but you did release a music video along with Another Day. Um, with what was kind of the idea behind that music video? Because it gives me a very 90s feel behind it, like just kind of watching the video and listening to the music. I messaged my sound engineer who's my partner in Live and Amplified, and I was like, sent him the video, and I was like, hey, if I didn't know any better, this would make me think we were back in like 1997. It just had like a real 90s feel to it.
Yay! I love the 90s. Yeah. Probably the VHS camera
Yeah.
helps with that. Yeah, I guess like we went into it with a pretty open mind, but we sort of wanted to express like the process of like what the song sort of meant and like what I was going through at the time. So I guess the start is sort of like the time where you're sort of realizing you're alone and it's very overwhelming and you're just sort of weighed down with a lot of emotions.
Yeah.
And then you know, it progresses to like getting up and like, you know, picking yourself and moving on and trying to heal, I guess. And then yeah, then the ocean scene, that was actually shot like near my hometown on the Sunshine Coast, which was so nice. So that one, I think it sort of to me represents like being weighed down by like the heaviness and like the sort of perilous waves like sucking you back into like that grieving and like, you know, trying to heal, but it's like a struggle, you know, it's not an easy process, and but you just have to remember that like you need to do it, and
Yeah.
it's not something you want to do but you have to. So yeah.
And how much creative input did you have on the music video?
Well, I worked with Phoebe Faye and Jono Oldham, sorry. And they were very, very like open
Mm.
to me having input as well. But yeah, we all sort of teed up. Phoebe Faye, it was her idea for the most part, and yeah, we just worked together on it, and she knew like how much the song meant to me too, which was nice. It's always good like working with people who understand your music and care about it. So yeah, it was good.
And you shot it. I'm assuming you shot that during the pandemic, or did you shoot it short? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
there's really no way around it if you wrote the song just before. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
oh,
Yeah. It worked out well. Like, and again, we're very lucky, so it wasn't really an issue. But I mean, it was only like we did sort of outdoor shoots anyway,
mhm.
so it was okay. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But this is you are building towards an EP, correct? Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. What's kind of the update on that? Where are you kind of at on the EP right now?
Where am I at on it?
Yeah, like is it recorded? Are you still writing it? Like where are you kind of at creatively on the EP?
Yeah, it's recorded. Just waiting for a couple of tracks to be mastered, and then um, yeah, we'll be ready to go. And I'm so excited for it actually, because it's sort of like it's all songs that I wrote around the same time as Another Day,
Mhm.
and it's all about that period of my life. So yeah, it's been in the making for a year now, and I'm very excited to get it out.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you have a tentative release date, or is it just kind of you're waiting on the masters and then you'll kind of figure it out from there?
Yeah, we've got a release date. I probably shouldn't say, but yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be this year.
Hey, that's good. At least, at least you have the EP coming and it's done. You're just kind of like, because that was one of the interesting things about back at the beginning of the pandemic was a lot of people were getting ready to release music and they just didn't know when to release it because they didn't know when they were going to be able to do shows again. But now
Yeah,
you're kind of coming to a point where shows are happening and
yeah,
yeah, I
yeah,
think it's safe to start looking at releasing big projects instead of just singles. So,
yeah. That's right. Yeah, it's definitely looking up. Touch wood.
mhm, gotcha. Um, and then from the EP, will you look at doing a full length, or do you just kind of like staying in the EP range of things?
It'll be a small EP. It's my first one, so yeah, I've just sort of picked 4 songs that mean a lot to me,
Mm,
including Another Day, that I wrote from that time, and yeah, I was
okay.
happy with it. So,
Fair.
yeah.
Now, are these not to give away like what the track list is or anything? Are these songs that you've played during live sets, or are these all brand new songs nobody's ever heard them?
Yeah, I played them in live sets.
Okay, so
So
they're songs people are familiar with, and it'll
yeah,
just kind of be a surprise as to
which ones? Yeah.
yeah. Gotcha,
So
gotcha.
it's funny because I've only written these songs in the past year, and I've been writing for like 7 years. So there's a lot of songs I have that like haven't been released or even recorded yet, but I just like wanted to do these ones. Like I think when like
Mhm.
when there's a song that you write that you just need to get out, like you need to release it before all the rest, because yeah, it just feels right, and it wouldn't feel right to record the other ones, like the old ones. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So when the EP finally gets finished, or technically it is finished, it's just waiting on mastered, but when it finally gets released and stuff, will you start looking at recording more, writing, or like where are you kind of at? I guess the better question is where are you kind of at right now? Are you more in the recording phase or are you more writing?
um Probably recording. Like I've got a few songs that I'd like to record, um, and yeah, maybe release next year or something.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, a mixture of sort of old and new songs.
Okay.
So yeah, probably recording. Like I'm not too focused on songwriting because I have a lot of songs I haven't even recorded yet. So
Gotcha. But
yeah, is it?
for that to be said, it's like it's always really cool to kind of have that catalog of songs that you just won't record because they're better off being played live, and it kind of gives people that unique experience when they come see you play. It's like, oh, we're gonna hear these 5, 6, 8, 10 songs that we love and that we've heard on Spotify, but there's these 7 other songs, you get what I'm saying? Where it's like there's only songs they're gonna hear at live performances. And that's
Yeah,
kind of
novelty of
cool
it.
when people kind of tap into that and just kind of
Yeah.
make that decision. So, but so kind of moving forward, are you back out playing shows right now, or is it just kind of still too early for you?
I've been. I've sort of been on the down low and just like getting ready for releases and things. Um, yeah, I've mostly been going to like friends' shows and artists that are in Brisbane,
Mhm.
watching them do their thing, and that's been really cool. So yeah, not too much. I did like the single launch at a venue in Brisbane in West End, the Bearded Lady, and that went really well and had a sold out show, and it was like just the best show I've ever done. Like it was such a good vibe, like the whole room. Oh, there was just something magical about it. Like I think post COVID, people having, well, we're still in it, but people are having this like new appreciation for live music,
Yep.
I think, and it's so exciting. Like I've sort of always had this thing in my head, like, there's some people in this audience that like I kind of just hear they don't actually want to be here that much. Like, oh, there's sort of was like this, I don't know, this vibe that I used to get, and now it's just like gone. Like everybody wants to be there, everybody loves it. Like I think, like as bad as the pandemic was, I do think that it has helped the music industry in that aspect, like in,
Yeah.
in terms of like, people's appreciation for it.
Yeah.
But it's destroyed it in other aspects for sure. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty special to see like the new attitude and everything towards it.
Yeah. 'Cause I went to a show, what was it, towards the end of last year, towards the end of 2020. I think it was like November, December, somewhere in that ballpark. And it was fine. It was just one of those things where you could tell people just didn't know how to react around each other because it was still November, December of 2020, and it was just like a really weird vibe. And I'm kind of interested to get back out now to go to shows to be like, okay, let's see how the vibes changed even in the last 5, 6 months. Just
Yeah.
you went, or I think I went out too soon before, and people just didn't know how to act around each other. You had like little pods of people that were like 12 feet apart, and it was like you were at a show, but it was still
Oh,
very, still very weird because it's like you didn't have the intimacy of a show, if that makes
yeah.
sense. So it was
Yeah,
just
no,
kind of like
there's
you're there by yourself almost.
yeah. Like when we started going to shows, sort of like it was like the peak of the pandemic, but they were starting to like, well, not the peak then. It was like when they started allowing shows again, but you had to sit down and like at
Mhm.
tables and stuff. Yeah, so that was I think people, and like after having to sit at separate tables, and yeah, it's just like stuff that people never even thought about before, like new appreciation. So
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we like to do on Live and Amplified is we like to pass on knowledge to younger musicians. Um, so from your perspective, what's one thing that you know now that you wish you knew when you first started playing music professionally?
um just write for yourself and don't write for anybody else, and yeah, don't always look for other people's approval. Like for example, I was dating this guy, and he would say, oh, your songs are so great, this song's really good, and I was like, oh my god, someone who cares about my music. But then sometimes, like, towards the end of that, I would write a song and I would look for his approval, and
Mhm.
it wasn't good unless he thought it was good. And then he wouldn't think some of them were good, so I would toss them out the window thinking they
Yeah,
were good. And only to realize like a year later that I actually love that song, and like I need to keep playing it because I love it. And yeah, don't let anyone sort of make you not like your own music or songs, because like the best songs are the ones that you like, and it's just luck whether other people like them too. But it all that matters is that you like them. So
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Um, And then do you have, or what's kind of been your big motivator through this pandemic? What's kind of kept you going through everything that's been going on the last, I guess, a little over a year at this point?
Probably working towards the EP, having that project to constantly chip away at, and yeah, just look forward to something like that. Yeah, pretty much it.
Nice.
Yeah, just music and art.
Yeah. And to kind of sit on the, or talk a little bit more about the EP, will that be, are you looking at doing that just 100% digitally, or will you do like CDs and like hard copies, I guess is the best way to word it?
I'd like to do cassettes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, like
So
actual cassette tapes?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Eh,
I've seen a lot of people doing them, and I think they look really cool. Not many people actually can use them, but
yeah.
yeah, might come back in.
I've thought about doing something similar with like to promote live and amplified in general, just making live and amplified cassette like mixtapes.
Yeah, yeah.
Just like making it like a lot more expensive business card, and be like, just like on the front of it, it's got our name, and like, hey, if you're interested in doing this, give us a call, and just kind of hand them a cassette tape. And it's got, because we have all these, we work with a lot of musicians that have like do cover songs, and there's really not much we can do with those. We do like cover songs to like warm, when we do like solo acoustic sessions, we use the cover song to kind of warm them up, just to kind of get a feel for everything.
Yeah.
And so we got these recordings of all these cover songs that we don't know what to do with. And it's like, that would just be kind of cool. Like, put them on this mixtape. It's an actually functioning mixtape, but it's more of a business card, you know?
Yeah, I think that'd
So,
be sick. You should do
yeah.
it.
Have you given any thought to doing like vinyl or anything, or is cassette kind of more where your heart's at?
Um, yeah, I'd like to. I know it's really expensive though, so we'd have to see how it all goes, and if there was a demand for it, I would. But
Yeah,
yeah, not at this stage.
gotcha. And then when there isn't a global pandemic going on, how often are you usually playing shows?
Um, well, I was doing sort of like at least one show a month, one or two shows a month before the pandemic. But yeah, I kind of think that it's better for me doing like less
Mhm.
frequent shows, because I think again there's that appreciation for it. Like
Yeah.
I was doing a lot just to sort of get my name out there, but yeah, I'm trying to like just put on sort of, well, I work with Real Feels, and they're like sort of a small record label in
Mhm.
Brisbane. And yeah, we try to put on shows and single launches and stuff, and they do really well. So we're happy with that. And like, you know, it doesn't have to be like all the time. It's kind of nice as well to focus on other things in between your gigs, and just
Yeah.
like towards one gig and put in like all your effort for that. So
Yeah.
I've been enjoying that.
Gotcha. And are most of your gigs just around Brisbane, or do you get out and travel to other parts of Australia?
They're in Brisbane at the moment, but that is the plan. Yeah, it's been hard with COVID because they keep, you know, changing the rules about changing, going interstate, which is fair. So, yeah, it's been up in the air. But I would love to. I haven't done it before actually, so that'd be great.
Yeah, because a lot of the musicians from Australia that I talk to talk about how hard it is to tour across Australia, just because of how spread out a lot of the major markets are, like going from Melbourne to Brisbane to Sydney to, and then like up to Perth and stuff like, yeah, up to Perth. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be crazy.
It,
It'd be so exhausting. Like it would take a long time too. Like if you're driving, that's why I
yeah.
think flight is the best way to go. But
Yeah. I've kind of, because I every couple of months we talk about wanting to go out to Australia when the pandemic's finished, just to experience everything that Australia has to offer, and b, finally meet all these musicians that we've worked with over the last year because of the pandemic, and being able to do things on Zoom and all that fun stuff. And the conversation always was, well, to get around, would we fly or drive? Because, it's like 4 or 5 hours from Sydney
Yeah.
like just the spread is so ridiculous. And I was like, let's do something crazy. Let's take a train just because you're in a place that we're not normally at. And I want to be able to see everything and just kind of experience what the country has to offer. And I just think a train would be really cool.
It would be beautiful. There's a lot of nothingness, but I think like it's peaceful too. Like, and especially if you're not from Australia, yeah, you'll definitely see what other people don't see in it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But I don't want to keep you too much longer. So kind of do you have any shows on the schedule right now, or what's kind of the plans kind of moving forward?
At the moment, no. Yeah, not at the moment. So just sitting back and just going to other shows, which has been cool. So
Nice. Who's
yeah.
been or what's been some of your favorite shows you've been to?
Oh,
I guess
that's
this year, just to kind of narrow it down.
well, that's a hard choice. Probably one of my friends, Lucy Dron, she had her single launch at a venue called the Black Bear Lodge, and LOLO played as well. They're both really great artists, female artists. So that was a really, really good night. And yeah, I enjoyed that. It was the first time I think I saw LOLO. It was the first time in ages that I'd seen Lucy play, like, post-pandemic, I'm pretty sure. So it was, yeah, such a good vibe and sold out as well. So everyone was just loving it.
It's really cool to be able to say you sell out shows like that. That's got to be just such a cool feeling for a musician to
Yeah,
say they sold out a venue.
yeah, definitely.
I feel like that's going to be a very good thing moving forward because everybody's going to be so excited to get out and kind of do things freely that I think a lot of people are going to start going to music or start going to see shows and stuff like that. So that's really awesome.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to check out your music or wants to check out anything you got going on, where's the best place for them to do that?
So I'm most active on Instagram and Spotify. You can find all my music pretty easily. So yeah, those are the main two. I've also got Facebook, but yeah, Instagram's more where I'm at.
Nice. Well, what do you think it is about Instagram that you enjoy more than the rest of the socials?
I guess it's just like, because it's just like, maybe like it's more visually aesthetic. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like probably that. Yeah.
Gotcha.
People are
One thing that I find kind of hard about Instagram is I have to put more effort into what I post on Instagram because I can't just take a photo and be like, "Hey, something," for me
yeah,
that just doesn't make sense. And so it's like got to put
arty.
it in, got to make it like put some effort into it, and it's you know,
True.
whereas on Facebook, it's like, "Oh, this happened. What do you think?" And I could just type it out, click send, and boom, there we go.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. But
Yeah, I
um,
feel.
awesome, awesome. So first off, I want to thank you so much again for jumping on. It's been a blast chatting with you. Before we leave, I have to come up with some random question I ask everybody. So, growing up, what was your favorite thing to do during the summer seasons? I guess that's kind of a weird question because it's starting to become winter in Australia right now, right?
Yeah, autumn. Yeah,
Autumn.
true. It's not hot girl summer for us here, but
Because
yeah,
I was sitting here, I was like, we're getting into these summer months. What's your favorite thing to do during the summer? But I'll modify it for you because it's becoming the fall. What is your favorite part about the fall season in Australia?
I love camping and having a fire and starting to wear jumpers because it's been so hot and I have a lot of cute jumpers I'm keen to wear.
Nice.
So yeah, that's my ideal autumn's camping.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Once again, thank you so much for giving us the time to sit down and chat. It was really a blast. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will catch you guys later.
Thanks.
All
Bye.
right. Cool. We are good.
Sir?